Hi, my name is Ted Pavlic. I'm an assistant professor here at Arizona State University. I teach in the Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering, the School of Sustainability, and the School of Life Sciences. Across the kind of wide range of units, I teach small seminar courses to graduate students, discussion-based courses, all the way up to big room lecture courses with undergraduate students. And I have been moving toward a hybrid and flexible approach to even my in-class teaching from even before COVID-19 and ASU Sync. So I had already done things like I stopped using the whiteboards in the classrooms, and instead I would plug my tablet into a projector and I would capture that virtual whiteboard so I could post it afterwards. I would video record all of the lectures and then post them afterwards. And then I would also audio record all of the lectures and post them as podcasts. And I found that my commuter students who actually would come to class would tell me that they would listen to those podcasts on their way back home or on the way to class as a refresher. And so already I was kind of getting into that mode. And even just before we'd flipped to ASU Sync, I started experimenting with giving a kind of a chat room to my in-class students. I'm actually in the room students. And so via their phones and via their tablets, they could actually use an online platform to submit questions that they had that they may have been too shy to actually want to raise their hand and raise in front of all the other students. Some of these questions would pop up anonymously so that other students could see them and actually vote them up or ask their own questions and so on. Now, what I found is I was actually hindered a little bit by that in class, and that I'd be giving my lectures in class, and I have to go back and check to see if anybody would leave those questions. And so there's always this context switch going back and forth and back and forth. When I flipped into ASU Sync, I found all of that stuff that I was doing in the classroom I could still do, but I could immediately respond to questions as they came up in the chat room. And I found that my chat room was a great way for me to keep that interactivity. Now, the students would not want to turn on their cameras, or they would not want to turn on their audio at first. And that maybe was a little surprising to me, because I was kind of used to getting some of that feedback back from the students. But when I encouraged them to use that chat and they started to do that, and it became kind of a pattern that they were used to, then I found that I actually got more feedback from them through the chat than I would through actually seeing their faces. Now, when I flipped into breakout rooms, which I would frequently do, then students would often volunteer to turn on their microphones, to turn on their cameras. And I would pop around to different breakout rooms and I would chat with them there, but then I'd bring them back into the main room and then the cameras would go off, but then the chat would come back up. So I actually feel like ASU Sync has better enabled me to do things that I was excited about doing in the physical classroom. And I think my students have given me a lot of great feedback on this, and a lot of positive feedback. I found that in the spring when I flipped to ASU Sync, I tried to keep my syllabus, keep to my in-person syllabus as much as possible, kind of viewing the online modality as just an impediment like moving to a different classroom that I wasn't accustomed to. Once I got accustomed to working online, I just viewed it as being in the classroom, even though I wasn't in the physical classroom. And I kept my assignments basically the same, maybe added a little bit of flexibility for technical challenges. For my asynchronous students who couldn't come to the in-person, I might extend some deadlines. If I had attendance type exercises, maybe I'd extend them 24 hours and base them on material that they would have to watch at home. But basically, I ran it like an in-person class, which was easy for me because I didn't have to totally redevelop my courses. And I actually feel like my students who signed up for in-person really appreciated that. And I actually got a lot of feedback directly about that from my students, who said that they really were glad that I didn't just make everything asynchronous and cut the connection, because the reason they signed up for the in-person class was to have that slot in their day that was devoted to this class, and to give them that ability for that fast feedback, as opposed to kind of the other way around. If they wanted the online, they could have signed up for the online instead. So I've really enjoyed ASU Sync, and I am very positive about what's coming up in the fall. I think ASU has got an amazing infrastructure for this, and I think our students are getting great value out of it. I just think it takes, as a faculty member, you just got to buy into it yourself. You've got to realize that it really is no different than being asked to teach in a classroom that you've never seen before. You get used to the new buttons on the wall, the new placement of where the chairs are, and then you let it go. And you actually can find that the classroom can be more restrictive than the online experience. So it is not a consolation prize. It is a high quality education, maybe even better in some ways. I enjoy doing it. I think I have a lot more flexibility in what I can offer the students. And I'm happy to help if anybody has any questions or would like any ideas on how to make their online experience or their sync experience as interactive and flow as well as the in-person experience that they're more accustomed to. Good luck and stay safe.